We're going to say a welcome and a good morning to the Honourable Member for St. Barb, Jim Bennett. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Randy.
All right, you got yourself in hot water again. You know that, don't you?
What do you mean hot water?
Got yourself in hot water, boy. Everybody down on the South Coast is going to be saying, let's go up and, hang Jim Bennett.
Well, Randy,
everybody is going to accuse you of wanting to shut down the aquaculture industry.
That's not true, Randy. I really like aquaculture. I think aquaculture is fantastic and has got a great future for us as long as we don't bungle it and destroy the whole industry like they've done in some places.
Well, have they really bungled it here and destroyed the industry or threatened to destroy it just because we had one outbreak of this salmon anemia?
Well, let's back up a little bit. Back in the 80s, salmon aquaculture was prominent in Norway. Mm-hmm. Norway brought in some regulations, and the companies went to Chile. And Chile had fewer regulations. In fact, they had a dictatorship at the time. Chile pretty near started to control a large part of the salmon aquaculture industry. And these are almost all Atlantic salmon. Our salmon is the worldwide popular one.
Right.
A couple of years ago, Chile lost 70% of their industry due to virus. Just wiped them out. So we don't need that kind of exposure. British Columbia is the fourth biggest salmon producer in the world. And between 2005 and 2007, the special committee of the British Columbia legislature held hearings on the sustainability of aquaculture in BC. And after 18 months of hearings, a long report, which I read this morning, and it's available online, the first recommendation was that BC should move toward contained units in the ocean for raising salmon. For some reason...
What do they mean by contained units? I thought that's what we have now.
No, we don't. We have open nets. We have like a cage. We have a cage inside, so all the tame salmon are in jail, and all the other salmon come up to them and kiss them through the wire, and give them sea lice and whatever disease might be on the go. And the same thing happens to the wild salmon that also come back and forth. And the type of proposal that was in BC, they strongly recommend, their very first recommendation was to go toward contained units in the ocean. Now, when the outbreak was announced a week or so ago, I wanted to take a little time and not respond immediately and have some research prepared. And I sort of have a soft spot for aquaculture anyway because I've been watching it and following it for 7 or 8 years because I think we have great potential here on land in trout farms, which I've visited trout farms in various parts of North America. We're not doing that for whatever reason. But in doing the research and following along, then I became absolutely amazed that we have these open net structures in the ocean, and we have tens of millions of dollars. The minister and I are in a dispute over how many tens of millions they've put in. So from a financial point of view, what kind of risk are we taking when we're not protecting the salmon? Ecologically, what kind of a risk are we taking when we're not protecting the wild?
So you're saying the salmon that are now in the pens, they're in the pens.
Yep.
The other wild fish have access to those salmon.
They do.
Because they can actually swim right up to them.
They're sitting in cages, and I don't know what the size of these cages are, but the norm is roughly 30 meters square, so 100 by 100 feet, 10 feet deep.
Yeah, so basically we can say they are, for the want of a word, as you say, they can talk to them through the bars. You want to put out an outside kind of containment field around all of that.
I think we should move toward that, and I've also been looking at some of the types of contained units. The industry doesn't want this because of the expense, and the industry will never want anything that will cost more money, but you don't lay waste to your environment and expose yourself just because of cost. It has to be part of the cost structure. What I said to the minister, and I wrote the minister a 2-page letter, I sent it on Sunday to him and Minister Ashfield, and I asked that we should stop the growth. I'm not saying don't raise the salmon we have there. Keep on raising the salmon that we have there, but don't issue any more growth, any more permits, any more size until we know exactly what we're doing. Also, we tend not to want, like, the regulators in this case are DFO and DFA, and they're also the promoters. Randy, if you had a boxing match, you wouldn't have Don King as a referee. I mean, come on now. DFO and DFA are going to be the regulators as well as the promoters. That's a complete...
Now, MHA Tracy Perry, whose district all of this aquaculture activity is happening in, Jim, she says between 500 and 600 people in her district are now employed in that industry. The government has been a major supporter of the industry. Millions of dollars have gone into, biosecurity wharves and an aquatic health center on the South Coast. And so she's a major supporter. But she says there's no way to fully prevent fish from getting infected.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
I don't know, because I don't know the science, and I believe that they're relying on their own science, which may very well be self-serving. I said don't grow the industry anymore. Look after the problem that we have. Engage an independent team of scientists who will make a report to the public, a public report. We need to have a full-on public debate over aquaculture in this province. And I'm on the side of aquaculture. We need aquaculture. It's got great prospects for us all over, but if we don't get it right, and if we have major catastrophes like this, how many millions of dollars did this outbreak now cost? And the government came out, and they didn't know what to do. It was 450,000 sick fish in the ocean.
Yeah, by the way, what did they do with them?
I don't know if they've done anything with them yet.
Because I never heard anything over the course of last week. Now, we were all tied up with Long Harbor for a few days there, and so attention maybe got diverted a little bit. But the last I heard was that Gray Aquaculture was going to ask if they could harvest the fish that were not infected. I guess there's a way that they can tell that very quickly, and still sell it to the public. They said that had been done in other jurisdictions, that the CFIA, the Food Inspection Agency, had allowed that. You haven't heard anything as to whether they destroyed the fish, whether they're still keeping the fish?
The last announcement that I heard is they were going to be all scooped up and they were going to be taken to a berry facility, and they were going to be turned into fish meal heated to 80 degrees Celsius, I presume, and that's not very high. And all of a sudden, I'm thinking, if you're going to take these 450 sick and dying fish and you're going to turn them into fish meal, what happened with BSE when we got mad cow disease? We fed cows to cows. Are we going to feed these fish back to more fish and take a chance that there's something wrong? We need to have more public debate and more scientific information to know exactly what we're doing here to protect our aquaculture industry.
Jim Bennett, it is a pleasure always to speak with you, sir. Thank you for this morning.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll see what others say. We're going to ask if others agree with where you're going or not. Thanks for this.
Thank you.
All right, take care, buddy. Bye-bye. That's the Honorable Jim Bennett, the Honorable Member for St. Barb. What do you think of what he's saying and where he wants to see us go? Calling for more fisheries science. Boy, a lot of good luck with that, eh?